Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hi, Emily. How are
Hey
you?
there, Orlando. I'm doing well. How are
Nice
you?
to meet you. Yes. Let me turn the volume up. Can you hear me?
Likewise. What's that?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay,
Let me just
perfect.
type in this pin and then we'll wait a little couple minutes for people to join us.
Sounds fabulous.
Is this your first time with us?
I did a live back in the summer with Elsid, and we talked kind
Okay.
of about he made guac, and we just chatted a little bit about nutrition in general.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, it was really fun. So I was excited to do this one because I know this is, obviously a topic that a lot of people are interested in hearing
For
about,
sure.
talking about, that kind of thing.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah,
So let's just wait a couple minutes. We get some people in here and
for sure.
how's your week been? How's work? How's everything going?
So far, so good. Yeah. Um, I get a good mix of people who are really, really appreciative for telehealth and then people who are so excited to be back on site and seeing everyone face to face. So,
I'm
but
sure.
yeah, but it's been so nice to be able to still be connected with people during these times. So, yeah, it's been good. It's been good. How's your week been going?
Good. I mean, on and off, on and off. Work. Doing. Trying to like just find new ways of hustling on the side and gigs and holidays are coming and I just had a birthday, so it's been like an
Oh,
ongoing celebration.
yeah. Well, happy belated birthday. Did you do anything special?
Just a couple dinner with friends and people just taking me out for dinner. Not much to do at these times.
I know. I know. I feel like everybody's had to experience a COVID birthday for the most part, or will probably experience a COVID birthday. So I feel like we can all relate to a quieter birthday this year. Yeah,
All right, well, let's see if we get started. So
sure.
for those of you, this is my first time doing it from Whitman-Walker. I am Orlando Machuca, one of the influencers with the Whitman-Walker Health Clinic. My pronouns are he, him, and his. Um, During the holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas, Hanukkah, we want you to have incredible experience and incredible meals. These traditions are exciting, but also can cause some anxiety for people worried about their health, eating, and general diet. This is why we're bringing Emily today, a registered dietitian from Whitman-Walker Health, to talk to us about food over the holidays. So we really want to encourage you guys to listen, ask questions, comment, give us some love that you're here, say hello. So, Emily, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would love to. Like Orlando said, my name is Emily. I'm the dietitian at Whitman-Walker. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I've been with Whitman-Walker for almost 3 years now. So it's been a very lovely ride, and this year has been the most interesting, obviously for a lot of reasons, COVID related.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I think this is going to be a great conversation.
Beautiful. So, for those of you that don't know, we're talking about food, nutrition, how to get around things during these holiday times. So, we have a couple questions for Emily. So, we're going to ask her. And if you have any ideas, put your little comments in the comment section. So, Emily, the first question is, what does a registered dietitian do? What is your role with Whitman Walker Health?
This is a great question. So, a registered dietitian is an expert in nutrition. So, the difference between just a nutritionist and a registered dietitian nutritionist is that a registered dietitian nutritionist can provide what's called medical nutrition therapy, which is essentially nutrition counseling recommendations based on an individual's medical diagnoses, as well as their needs, personal goals, things like that. So, dietitians have like specific licensure, credentialing, continuing education to kind of maintain that registration and licensure. My role here at Whitman Walker is to essentially provide nutrition counseling and education to our patients for a variety of disease states and conditions, whether that be HIV and the side effect management, diabetes, disordered eating, weight management, digestive issues, diseases of the heart, et cetera, among others. As well as to connect patients to food access resources and or oral nutrition supplements. Additionally, I lead a diabetes self-management education group every year. And recently, myself and one of our amazing therapists are co-running a group for disordered eating called Eat and Engage around the lunch hour. So that's been a fun new addition.
Okay, awesome. So, next question. What does it mean to eat healthy in the context of traditional holiday foods like turkey, pie, etc.? How can our families meet the standards over the holidays?
A really good question. So I think it can be tricky to eat as healthfully during the holiday season as we normally may. That being said, I think it's important not to overthink and kind of stress too much over eating those holiday foods that we love and we only, get to enjoy once a year for the most part. That being said, balance is obviously important as well. So when attending holiday events, I suggest that you offer to make or bring a healthier option just so that there's some balance present at those events for you. For example, if you're attending a holiday party where there are going to be, lots of decadent sweets and heavier dishes and things, it might be a good idea to offer to bring like an appetizer, a side dish, and make it pretty veggie heavy. Just kind of a healthy option to include with all those delicious foods. That way you can still enjoy those delicious treats that you want to enjoy, but also get in some like lower calorie, nutritious options. Another idea is to, when you first get to an event, kind of take little like tasters, small helpings of the various foods offered to see what you are really in the mood for and that you really like. You'll also figure out what you kind of are like, that's not really doing anything for me. I can skip that for the day. And then, that way you can go back for the foods you really, really want to eat. And that way you can kind of skip the ones you don't. Also start by loading up your plate with like the veggie heavy dishes to kind of occupy some of that space on your plate. That'll just kind of ensure that you're a little bit more likely to take moderate portions of some of those other foods. You can still enjoy them, absolutely. This one is this last kind of tip I had is a little bit tough for people, but really try not to go into a holiday meal or gathering feeling really, really hungry. I know. It's just that if you go in super, super hungry, you're so much more likely to overeat because you're feeling starving, right? But if you eat balanced meals kind of leading up to that holiday meal or event, you're less likely to do that. So you're more likely to leave feeling comfortable and not overly full.
That's definitely me. Like, I never go anywhere hungry just because I know that I'm a very picky eater. So I don't want to go somewhere and then like be starving and expect go somewhere with an expectation, and then I'm like, oh my God, I can't eat any of this. And then it's like, let me start drinking then. And that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
It's always one bad habit to another.
Totally. And I feel like with Thanksgiving specifically, you're spending the whole day preparing this huge meal. It's hard to remember to be like, oh, maybe I should eat something, even though I'm preparing this big feast for later. But it's actually a really good idea to eat something, because then when that meal comes around, you're not going to be ravenous and like needing. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Good. So next question I have is, where does exercise fit into the picture? How can I exercise when it's cold? I'm full, or just in general, I'm with family I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah. I think this one's trickier than normal this year with COVID and people not being able to like go to their gyms or get together with people to do, activities. But I would say if you're with people, round up a few family members, bundle up, go for a morning walk on the morning of Thanksgiving or your holiday. If no one's up to join, my personal favorite thing to do is just like download a really good podcast or some music. and use it as an excuse to give yourself a little me time, or if you have a dog, use it as an excuse to get a little energy out of them. Another idea is to clear a bit of space in the home and offer to like set up a yoga or dance video. You can find a bunch on YouTube for free, and that's actually really fun to do with family members. Can get in a lot of laughs as well. More often than not, you're not the only one that is hoping to get in a little bit of movement. So more often than not, someone's going to want to join, and that's going to make them feel a little bit better. It's also going to help increase your energy before you go into, a gathering, or before you cook up a big meal or whatever. Lots of families also play like games like flag football, or outdoor games on the day of Thanksgiving. So if your family is part of your like quarantine bubble, that could be a blast, kind of coming up with some sort of family game. Obviously that's going to look a little different this year with COVID and people not doing such big gatherings, but if they're with you already, that could be a fun thing too.
Or they can hit me up, because I do dancing on the side. I do lessons and I teach Latin dance, so they can hit me up.
Oh, that's such a good
that.
idea.
Whitman-Walker. That's how I met Whitman-Walker. One of the Whitman-Walker staff was like, "Hey, you'd be really fun. Like, come on, you'd be good for social media." I'm like, "Hey, I'm down."
Everybody's
and it's perfect
looking
timing, because I can't really teach in group classes right now, so at least I can share another knowledge with a different audience. So I'm super excited about it.
For sure. I feel like everybody right now is looking for something to do for movement that's fun and new, and still, kind of feels like you're connecting with somebody.
Right.
So I love that. That's awesome.
Okay, let's see. Next question. What are the greatest challenges you hear from clients around nutrition during the holidays?
The biggest thing I usually hear is around overeating specifically. I think if you go into the holidays with all sorts of like restrictions, it can be hard once you're then presented with all those opportunities to eat those foods, and you're more likely to give up on whatever plan you made when you see those, delicious foods and those tempting, intoxicating smells and stuff. So I would say try not to go in with that all or nothing kind of mentality. It's okay to enjoy the foods that you love around the holidays. Allow yourself flexibility. And that being said, honor your body's hunger and satiety. Try not to eat too quickly, and when you feel full, stop eating for the time being. Doesn't mean you can't go back for leftovers later or enjoy something later, but try to really listen to what your body is telling you. And again, I know I already said it, but really try not to skip meals, because again, that just leads to that feeling of extreme hunger and increases the likelihood that you're going to overeat and feel uncomfortable. The other challenge, and this is a little bit more medical in nature, I think, that I often hear is around adhering to specific therapeutic diets. So what I mean by that is like adhering to a heart healthy diet or a diabetic diet specifically. But for this, I would really recommend planning ahead for the foods that you plan to prepare and how you're going to structure your plate if you're going to an event. Kind of have that in your head of, okay, these are the foods that are usually there at Thanksgiving. Here's how I can structure my plate, so that you just feel prepared and it takes away a little bit of that anxiety. Make sure to have some options that make it easier for you to adhere to those therapeutic diets. For example, if if you have high blood pressure, offer to make a dish and make that be a low sodium dish. If you have diabetes, try to think of like a lower carb option and offer to bring that to the group. That way, there's something there that kind of feels a little bit
normal.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of fits into your plan a bit. And then the other thing, try to make half your plate vegetables, because that way you can still allow space for those other foods you like, with still kind of ensuring that you've got kind of a lower carb, lower sodium, those a healthier option on your plate as well. And lastly, communicate with those you're sharing the meal with. I think if you mention that, for example, you need to watch your sodium, my bet is that the person that's hosting you is going to be more than likely or more than happy to cut back on the salt that they add to certain dishes, and then maybe just put a salt shaker on the table for other people to kind of add salt to taste.
For sure.
Yeah. I think that communication piece can be a little tough for people, but I think it's once you do kind of share those challenges with whoever you're going to be with, people want you to have the best experience possible. So they're usually more than happy to kind of make some accommodations there.
especially if they're that close to you that you're actually spending time with them for the holidays.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people like to talk smack to strangers, and then they're scared to talk to their own family about things like that. I'm like, this is your life, this is your health, you know, communicate.
totally. And honestly, there's probably somebody else that you're sharing the meal with that also has to be mindful of some aspect of their diet. So you're probably not the only one. And I think opening that dialogue can be productive, not only for you, but probably for other people as well.
And especially since we can only have a small group now, you know, there should be a group chat. Be like, hey guys, you know, this is me. This is
Yeah,
me. Oh, this is me too. Oh, well, let's make more of this. You know, like,
for sure.
especially because I feel like a lot of people don't live near their families and they can't go see their families. So we
Hmm.
have our own little friends that we're like, you know, the ones we always hang out with. So like, talk to them, explain to them the situation, and I'm sure everyone will be super excited to be like, you know what, I got you.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
for sure. A little camaraderie around it.
Right? Okay, let's see. What's the next question? So, how do you anticipate nutrition challenges might change because of the disruptions in holiday traditions due to COVID-19? And what advice do you have to help people get ahead of the curve?
Sure. Yeah, I think COVID is disrupting a lot of people's plans this year, obviously. I think one challenge that people are probably facing this year is cooking their Thanksgiving feast for a much smaller group. And I think having so much food and tons of leftovers could lead to overeating, could lead to increased food waste. So again, my advice, nothing too exciting about this, would be to plan ahead. So figure out the dishes you really love and you want this year and skip the ones that you don't necessarily care about so much, even if they're like classic traditional Thanksgiving foods. If you don't really want them and having the leftovers is just going to kind of cause you to feel like you need to eat it so it's not going to waste, just skip it, you know? Um, or consider purchasing and making smaller quantities of foods if you can. So instead of making a huge big batch of mashed potatoes, it's actually quite easy to just buy a couple potatoes and make like a little small batch of mashed potatoes, or buy like certain parts of the turkey or a little small turkey, that kind of thing. And then for dessert, maybe pick the one that you are really excited about and make that instead of making a whole spread of desserts, especially if it's a small group. Um, Also, freeze leftovers. This is like my favorite go-to for any time, but I think this year's holidays are a great time to really freeze. So don't feel like you have to finish everything. Also, don't feel like you have to throw away foods. Save it. Freeze leftover gravy, mashed potatoes, cornbread, sweets, your pies, and save them for Christmas, Hanukkah, or, just whenever you feel like eating them.
I don't know if I would save it that long, maybe a week tops.
But
I like to
even
eat.
that, at least you're not, overeating them on the moment of because you feel like you have to finish them. Freezing them sometimes kind of, you can cut the pie into little portions and then maybe you're like, oh, I just want one piece of pie today. You can
Right,
thaw that one piece out instead of feeling like you got to eat that whole pie this week. You know what I mean?
for sure.
And then,
So,
oh, sorry, one
no,
last little thought on that. I also imagine people will probably be feeling particularly lonely this year if they can't travel to like see family or friends. And that might lead to some emotional eating and can affect food choices. Be kind to yourself for sure. That's my first thing. It's okay if that happens. But maybe also plan like a Zoom gathering with friends and family during your holidays, or come up with some sort of like virtual game you might be able to play with friends online. Try to kind of think of some activities that maybe aren't food related to kind of help with that aspect of it as well.
okay. So the the question of the day: what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
I really do think that this answer does change every year for me. Shockingly, as a kid, I really wasn't super into Thanksgiving food. That has certainly changed in adulthood. And recently, I really love stuffing. I
Yeah,
hated it as a kid, but now it is so good and I'm so excited for it. So that's probably the one that I'm most excited for. I also love green beans which my mom makes like this really good recipe. They're super vinegary and they have like bacon and onions in them. I won't be with my mom this year, but I'm going to try to replicate that recipe. And then I do love cranberry sauce. Again, my mom makes a delicious recipe with like
tell her to send you
orange
some.
zest. I know. She's going to need to freeze stuff for me when I can come home next. But yeah, she makes a really good one with orange zest. So I think I might try to make that. I might skip that this year. I haven't decided. But I also really like the canned cranberry sauce. Really, any cranberry sauce I'll eat. But yeah, so stuffing, green beans, and cranberry sauce are probably my favorites. Hard to pick just one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know what my favorite is. I mean, I'm not a big veggie eater, but I love meat. And I would say I love the sweet potatoes with marshmallows.
Ooh.
Like I think that's one of my like go-to. Like I always get like maybe some rice and the meat and the mashed potatoes with marshmallows, and that's my it. I feel like
Yeah.
like I always try a little bit of everything. My first
Yeah.
little bit, and then if I like it, my second dish goes from like 10 things to like 3. Like you said
Totally.
earlier, I was like, yep, that's me.
Yes, that's such a good idea because then you can still taste everything that people made and
Not
brought.
waste it.
But yeah, exactly. And then you can figure out like, oh no, that is really doing it for me today. I'm gonna go back and get a little bit more of that and kind of figure out what you like. I've never actually made the sweet potatoes with the marshmallows on top, but I've seen people have it and it does look, yeah, very intriguing. I might have to someday try and give that a shot.
For sure. Well, I don't see any questions or comments. I thought I told you guys to join us today. They must be busy getting ready for the evening. It's getting so dark now after 5 o'clock, like at 5 o'clock.
Right.
So
crazy. I know. It feels just so much later than it is right now. But yeah, I'm not seeing any either. I see lots of.
So for those of you who, follow Whitman-Walker, we still are doing HIV, STI testing by appointment only at our Liz location, Northwest DC, and our MRC location in Southeast DC. To make an appointment, call 202-797-4439. Remember, social distancing is a way to reduce COVID-19 transmissions. Deliberately increases the physical space between people to avoid spreading illnesses, especially around the holidays. People, be careful. I know you want to see your family, and I know you're not going to listen to the can't see your family, and you might not, but if you do, be super careful. Staying 6 feet away, wearing a mask in public, avoiding places with large crowds. Encourage working from home if possible. Speaking with your loved ones over phone, FaceTime instead of person. Social distancing is caring for your community. Stay up to date with local, state, and national guidelines for testing, quarantine, and general safety. Of course, washing your hands for 20 seconds. That's a given. And staying home if you don't feel well. And next week, we'll be really getting into a little more details on COVID. So follow Whitman-Walker. Pay attention next week. We're going to have a couple lives at the beginning of the week since it is a holiday. Well, thank you so much, Emily. Do you want to say anything else?
Just be kind to yourselves this year. It's a wild year, and I think there's, oftentimes the holidays do bring stress around nutrition and food. Just be kind to yourself. We don't need any extra stress or anxiety, so try to just take one thing off your plate by being a little bit easy on yourself this holiday season in terms of your food and your nutrition plan.
Well, thank you, Emily. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Whitman-Walker. We have Real Talk DC. We're actually using both of them now. Stay up to date with Whitman-Walker. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned every week. We're going to have lives. Emily, it's great to meet you. I hoop to see you soon.
Likewise. So nice to meet you. Thanks so much, Orlando.
All right. You guys take care. See you soon.
Okay. See ya.